Hey everybody, welcome to the Player's Take episode 20. I'm your host Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host Montrell Rice.
Hey, what's up everybody?
How's life treating you, man?
Just been working.
Yeah,
got a new car and stuff like that. So
yeah, you told me about that today.
Yeah, so
I was off all week, but you'd think I played a lot of video games, but nope.
I'm assuming you had a lot of adulting to do.
Yeah, take care of the house. I had some miniatures to build, and doing stuff with my wife. So I played some games, but not anywhere near as much as I was hoping going into the vacation.
Okay.
So I guess we'll get into that in a second. So, for those of you who have not listened before, The Player's Take is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Tuesdays on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and your favorite podcast app of choice. So, we usually start with what we've been playing. So, Montrell, what have you been playing this past week?
I've been doing a lot of stuff this past week, so I haven't really touched anything. But stuff I did touch, I did play a little bit of Xenoblade because I was gone a lot from home.
Playing that Switch?
Yeah, and I was also playing Mario Party on the Switch, which it isn't bad as everyone said.
The one that came out in October?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It isn't bad as everyone said it is, but
I never thought it was bad. It just, the fact that it had 4 boards was like a red flag.
And the boards are super small.
Yeah, it was just like a red auto red flag for me. Like,
yeah, the boards are, compared to like older ones, they're very small and they don't really have that much of a nuance to them. Like the other boards, each one felt distinct.
Where they had like shortcuts and all sorts of stuff like that. Does the game have a lot of mini games?
It does have a lot of mini games, but it was only me and my girl playing. So, I mean,
because I was wondering. I just feel like this game was made by like 15 people, and it just.
It just feels like maybe because the games don't feel challenging enough. That's what it is. I think the mini games are feel challenging. It's like they really did make this for like people who don't play video games.
I'm thinking of because that's been the problem with Mario Party is they've been making it for people who don't play video games. It's super frustrating because Mario Party in its heyday, back in the N64 GameCube era.
N64 was like the best.
Was something to behold.
Yeah.
Okay? Those games are legit. Like, they are legit fun to play.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of content. They had a lot of mini games. They had a lot of maps. Most of them had 6, bare minimum. Some, I think a couple even had 7. And they were not small maps either. So,
no, they weren't. Yeah, it's like this one when I was playing it. It was fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was really fun. Maybe because I just haven't played a Mario Party game in a while.
It just feels good to get back in.
Yeah. But it was like it felt like just something was missing. And I don't know what that something is, maybe because the board wasn't that big or the mini games were kinda like lacking as far as like being challenging.
Yeah.
I think I only had one challenge with like one mini game they had, but besides that, like it wasn't really that hard to really do anything. It just it's only 10 coins to buy a star now.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
Come on,
it's
man.
10 coins
That's
now.
one mini game.
Yeah, man.
That's like 10. One victory. God. Man.
Dumbing
it down, Montrell.
They are
for the casuals.
In one turn, I got 2 stars because they she landed and then she put the star somewhere else and it was like right on my path and I got it again.
Man.
Yeah, man.
I feel like the old games like didn't even let that happen. Like that was like impossible.
Yeah, it was. That's why I was surprised when that happened.
Yeah, because dude, man, we gotta. You know what we gotta do? We need to get a group together and just play
Mario Party, man.
Mario Party retro stuff though, like Mario Party, Melee, Super
Smash
Bros. Melee,
yeah.
like all those old Nintendo multiplayer games. We need to just play those because they're fucking fun, dude. Like,
yeah, they are.
Straight up, like it's just not as fun anymore. I don't know. I don't know. What
then like the items that you got, they just didn't feel like as menacing as the other items in the old games.
Oh my god, I remember playing Mario Party, and I would get like 2 boo bells, and I'd have a boo repellent. Or you'd have like Genie Lamp, Boo Bell, and I would have like 150 coins, and I just terrorize everybody on the map, and they like couldn't even touch me. It was just like, man, I remember I used to play that game with my brother and my dad all the time, all the Mario parties, and they would get so pissed
Yeah,
so pissed because it's such a luck based game, but I would win more often than not.
Yeah,
like, it just
I don't know, man. It felt like it was just like tuned for fun. Like everyone gets a star type almost, but like I don't know, it was weird. But
there was kind of a brutality to the first one though. The first one was unforgiving as fuck. You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that.
You'd lose coins for losing minigames.
Really?
Like, yeah,
I don't remember that.
Even free for all minigames, you would lose coins for losing those. Like the game was super mean. Like it was.
Damn.
Yeah, you know, and it had single player mini games.
Yeah,
where I think it was the only one that had this too that I remember. Where it would be you land on a space and it would be like a single player mini game space, and you'd play a mini game that was just you.
Yeah,
and nobody else was in it. But if you won, you'd get like 20 coins. But if you lost, you'd lose like 10 or something. Like it was so brutal.
Yeah, dude. And even like the battle modes. You remember like when they used to have the battle mode mini games? They don't have those anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have.
Wait, really?
They don't have battle mode.
The one where it is like. Everybody puts in 50 coins.
Yeah, they have wins. So you land on the space and there's like this little tiny mini game that they put on the map.
Oh.
And it's like, if you blow up this balloon and see how big this balloon gets without popping, then that's the mini game. We got that twice in a row. So I don't know if there are more of those, but it was just that.
Duel people?
No.
What are they doing?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this team. I think it was made by like 50 people, bro.
That's so upsetting, man. That's really upsetting. Like, cause dude, Mario Party's good. I mean, we have 1 through 3, and then 5 through 7. Fuck 4. 4 sucks. Yeah. So
I mean, this one isn't.
It's not as bad as like 8 or 9.
I can't remember 8 or 9. I gotta go back and play those.
Okay, 8 was the motion control one.
Okay,
the Wii
era. It's not as bad as that. It's not as bad.
You had to
as
like
that.
shake the Wiimote. You know.
Yeah, they only have certain games where you can shake the
Joy-Cons.
The Joy-Cons, but it's not. When we were playing it, they were surprisingly very accurate with like what we were doing and stuff like that. So
yeah, fair enough. Anything else you've been playing?
That's about it.
So the little I did play, I was playing some Borderlands 1 remastered. I got to I think I'm level 15 or 16 now. I haven't played a lot, but with what I have played, I maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like this game is like the leveling feels a lot faster than Borderlands 2. Okay. I'm gaining like a level every like 15 minutes probably of gameplay time, which feels way faster than Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 felt like a slog from what I remember, but maybe that's just my memory getting to me. But I do like the game though. It's fun. It's weird. I kind of am playing it just to play it, like just to say I played it, because I don't like. Part of me is like I should just play Borderlands 2. Like it's just a better game.
Yeah,
it is. Because dude, the shooting in this game, man, it's 2000. It's real 2009. Like it's. I'm actually going to talk about this with the other game I played on this list, but dude, you like try to line up a shot on somebody sometimes, and you'll like body shot them, and the game just doesn't register that you hit them at all. Like it's like what? Like your crosshair is like right on their body, and the bullet just like goes through them or something. Like it's really weird. The hitboxes are a little. It just seem like they're off in general. So as I've played more though, the guns I'm getting now are starting to actually like really pack a punch. So it's getting more fun, and the characters are really basic. The skill trees are really basic. They're nothing deep.
You can tell it was the first one pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But it's still fun. I'm still having fun. It's interesting to run around in it and see kind of how their design evolved over time.
Yeah.
But Borderlands 2 is where they really got crazy. So
okay.
But I'm hoping we see kind of an in between with Borderlands 3. So I also played about 2 hours of the original Mass Effect. Yeah. I was saying I wanted to play this, and I was sitting around last week and I was like, man, I'm done with Xenoblade. I'm playing Grim Dawn and I'm playing Borderlands, but I'm like, man,
this is your first time playing this?
I need what, Mass Effect 1?
Yeah.
No, I've played Mass Effect 1 before.
Okay.
But I played it on Xbox 360.
Okay.
So that's the only time I've ever played it was on Xbox 360. But I bought it on PS4 or PS3 rather. Moved my PS3 upstairs. Bought it on PS3. Started playing it on PS3. Man,
feels like a 2009 game.
So it's interesting. It definitely feels like it's actually a 2007 game.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, 2009 was Mass Effect 2. Feels like it's very, like, obviously, we all know the biggest hit that Mass Effect 1 ever had was the shooting was clunky as hell.
Yeah.
It's really clunky as hell. I forgot how clunky it is. Like, dude, you just shoot in a general direction and you hit things. It's like, you're not even, like, you're not even really aiming.
It was trying to be an RPG, man.
I know. And I appreciate it for that. And that, the actual story part of it it's really fun to get back into because it's such a innocent it feels like such an innocent game compared to the remainder of the series where it's like really it just feels like a passion project because every nook and cranny has details, man. Like there's just NPCs hidden here, you know, like chests hidden there and stuff like that. I haven't gotten far. I just got to the Citadel, but I'm like,
it's a journey, man.
Yeah, I am excited to continue playing it. And I'm like, dude, like they introduce you to Saren, and I'm like, yeah, man, I remember Saren. I was like, man, this guy was a dick. Yeah, and I'm like, I forgot how early in the game
you see
him, and how early in the game it comes out that he's a traitor too.
Yeah,
like I forgot that it was like almost immediately that he's like you find out that he's a traitor.
You spend your whole game trying to prove that he's a traitor.
Pretty much, yeah. And so I'm looking forward to playing it. Spoiler
remember alert, everybody.
Dude, I remember the Citadel. Like I remember the Citadel being a massive area in this game too.
Yeah.
Like this was the only game where you really got to explore the Citadel.
Yep.
The other two, it was really more of just like a little bit of a hub. Particularly in 3. 3 was just like
3 was
it shouldn't
pitiful.
Have even been in the game.
Yeah, 3 was
it shouldn't
pitiful.
have been in the game in 3. But I'm excited to get into it. I'm really looking forward to like Novaria and the planets you go to for the main missions. Dude, I remember like Novaria in particular. I remember that planet. That planet left a real impact on me from this game. So I'm looking forward to getting deeper into it.
Yeah, I might start playing this game. I'm gonna beat God of War first, but I'm thinking.
Okay. I know you wanted to talk about it. I don't. Do you want to talk about each game individually as a topic of the show, or you want to talk about all 3? Yeah.
Actually, we can do each game individually.
I think we can.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because they have so much content in them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have some stuff coming up with E3 coming up in the next month, but I mean, I don't think I'm going to beat all 3 within the next month or two anyways, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to get into it. I'm really looking forward to playing it again.
I'm just scared.
I just need a good ass story game, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like
I'm just so scared to get into it because once I start playing Mass Effect, I don't stop. Like it's so weird, man.
I know what you mean, dude. I remember playing this game, and dude, it was an obsession. Like,
yeah.
There's something special about that. Like, I hope it happens to me with this time.
Yeah.
I've been in a real like kind of slump with gaming this year. Like, I just feel like nothing's really grabbed me.
Yeah.
Besides like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, that's really the only thing. Otherwise, I've been kind of really hit or miss with most of the games we've been playing. So, all right, let's move into the news. First story. So, a bill was proposed in the United States that is going to put some restrictions on microtransactions in video games. So this has kind of been a long time coming. Obviously, this stuff has been happening in Europe for the past couple of years, ever since Battlefront 2 came out, basically. And basically, the bill would ban loot boxes and, quote, pay-to-win microtransactions in games played by minors. So that's kind of the main point here.
Yeah.
This is only really focused on games that minors can play, so anybody under 18. And it's kind of this is an interesting situation because I think anybody that's been paying any attention at all knew this was coming at some point.
Oh yeah, we do it.
This bill, I feel like, has a very low likelihood of passing. Like
it's probably not.
It's I sincerely doubt it's going to pass.
I feel like the ESRB has too many lobbyists in Washington right now to do that.
But given that, the fact that we're here even talking about this shows how much the industry fucked up. Like,
yeah, they couldn't regulate themselves.
Yeah, they can't regulate themselves. They're not capable of it. And I think at some point we're going to get something related to this. If they don't do something soon. And dude, the ESA's response to this was the same old just droning bullshit, you know, canned response of like, man, we're going to educate you guys because you don't understand the situation. You know, this isn't gambling, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just the same old garbage.
Whose side are they on, man?
No, they're a lobby for the companies within games, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm happy and sad at the same time because I'm sick of this shit. If they could ban all this shit in video games, man, fucking more power to them. I'll be excited about that. But at the same time,
how much do we want the government in our games?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is like microtransactions are interesting because I don't like them from a base level, but at the same time, if you can do the right things with them, they're fine.
Yeah,
and I don't have a problem with them, and I actually like them in some cases. Like Borderlands is a good example, right?
Yeah,
Borderlands 2, I bought like every piece of DLC for that game besides the cosmetic skins. Like all the content, like the actual DLC content, I bought for Borderlands 2, and I loved pretty much all of it. You know, it was all mostly worth it. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's just
they pushed it too far, man.
Yeah. Honestly, this started way back. I don't know if you remember this, because I think you were still a PC player at the time, but this was like in 2005, 2006 maybe. Were you on consoles then?
I was totally on consoles.
All right, you probably
GameCube for life, baby.
Okay. Well, this is around not 2005, 2006, 2007-ish. This is on the Xbox, so I don't know if you...
Xbox 360?
Yeah. That was Gears of War 2 or 3. 2 or 3. I don't know.
It was probably 2.
2.
It's too early for 3.
Okay. The whole controversy around dislock content.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So
I mean, that's still a thing that people talk about. It happens still.
Yeah. It just I don't feel like it's talked about as much because of everything else overshadowing it.
Yeah, that, and I think people kind of accepted it.
But yeah, I knew right then and there. I didn't know how bad it would get, but when that happened, I'm like, this is going to get bad. Like, I remember that happened on Gears of War 2 or 3, and probably 2, and then it happened on Street Fighter Cross. 4. Well, yeah, Street Fighter 4, but this happened earlier. Like, this was like in 2009, 2010 on Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and the microtransactions literally killed that game.
Yeah. Well, dude, you remember around that same time, 2010, 2011, that's when they were doing all the online pass bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were trying to get rid of used games and all that stuff. Like, dude, they spent the entire last generation figuring out what people are okay with.
Yeah.
And then they've spent this generation kind of reaping the benefits of it. And, I think the thing is they got their hand in the cookie jar, and they can't take their hand out of the cookie jar because it's so good. Like, it's like they've gone too far, you know? It's like they've gotten to the point where they're ruining games to make money.
You know what? I don't mind free-to-play games. Apex Legends, you know... Fortnite, Dota, League.
Yeah.
Like, say what you want about those games. And we both don't like, you know, Fortnite like that. Yeah. But, you know, we know many people do, and we're on the side of the scope where, as far as Dota and League of Legends, but... You can play those games with a base skin of any character or anything you play and still enjoy the hell out of yourself. Like, you're like, yo, this game's fun as hell. I don't need to buy any skins, but I can just log in, play, log back out. Boom, I'm done. You don't have to. You buy the skins because you're like, man, this is kind of...
You can even earn some of them, too.
Yeah, you can earn some of them, yeah.
If you play enough.
But then you got games like Overwatch, where I paid $60 for the game already, and now you're bombarding me with like, hey, man... You want this loot box?
Well, dude, you know what the funny part about one like Overwatch is? Because that $60 game with loot boxes, and then the game's designed where it gives you a loot box every time you, quote, level up or whatever. Yeah. Isn't that the cutest like way for them to make it look like they're being nice to people?
Yeah.
They're trying to entice you with that. Like, that's not a, like, we're not, it's like a win-win for them because they're making it look like they're being generous to their players, but at the same time they are potentially enticing players to spend money. You know? Yeah,
and I mean it's just so weird, like because they locked everything in that game. If you go back and play, if I go back and play Overwatch now, I can't remember. They locked like emotes. They locked. Like colors of different color
maps and characters are the only thing that's like legitimately part of the game. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
Everything else you have to pay for.
Yeah,
or
everything.
Open a loot box.
Open a loot box for pay for it pretty much.
Yeah. Well, dude, you remember what they did when they had their first like limited time event? When they, you remember when people, people would save their loot boxes up and like wait until the event happened and open them.
Yeah,
Blizzard. Yeah, and then you remember Blizzard like they made it so that those like loot boxes obtained before the start of the event didn't have the items from the event in them.
That's so
it's
bad.
such a nickel dimey kind of slime bag move, you know. It's like, and that's the kind of thing that just shows their true colors, though. In my opinion, you know, it's like they're about money, baby. Give me that money, you know, and that's what they've become.
I mean, that's their prerogative, but as a company, but it's just like at the integrity of your games and your reputation. I think like that's what game companies aren't looking at. Like they're trying to chase this almighty dollar, which we're at the end of the day, let's be honest, all of us are.
In some form or fashion.
Yeah, in some form or fashion. But like you got companies like Nintendo who aren't really doing it at the integrity of their games. Now you can argue Fire Emblem Heroes, right? Yeah. But like they're doing
it strategically.
Yeah, there you go.
Like Fire Emblem, I think they realized that Fire Emblem on its own, just as a box game, is not a super profitable venture for them.
Yeah. But
I think they understood, and they understood this a few years ago, that the fan base for these games is super passionate, like insanely passionate, to the point where they can come out with a game like Fire Emblem Heroes and people eat it up. Like they want it. They want more. They want the skimpy outfits. They want the characters. They want the gacha mechanics in the game. They want this whole thing. Like they want Fire Emblem Mobile. You know, that's how passionate they are. They want the crappy DLC that's in the Fire Emblem mainline games. You know, it's like,
yeah. I mean, but like it is fueling their mainline games. Like
it is.
I think that's why we're getting like a really good houses.
I'm hoping Three Houses is legitimately quality.
Yeah,
like
I think it's gonna be quality.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
I haven't looked into it. I've been seeing screenshots and stuff, but
I've been in the dark about it until we get like some kind of I'm assuming they're going to show stuff at E3.
Yes, I think it'll be at the E3 Direct.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm holding off on really looking into it because I just kind of. I just want it to be good. So, in situations like that, I get it.
Yeah, so, like, coming back to this, I feel like if game companies did that, like, hey, we're going to use these games to fuel profit for our more popular games and more passion project games.
So, isn't that the difference, right, between Nintendo and other companies? They're not... They didn't make Fire Emblem Heroes and then all of a sudden they're like, fuck, this is really, really... This is a huge moneymaker. Fuck the Fire Emblem 3 Houses. We're canceling that game. Let's make another mobile game. Like, they didn't do that, you know? And I think a lot of companies started chasing that shit. Like, EA did the fucking... God, with Command & Conquer, they're just like, fuck making a Command & Conquer game. We're going to make a mobile game that everyone's going to like. Yeah, sure thing, buddy. You know, it's like... So,
I mean, in Diablo, like...
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are getting a Diablo... We're supposedly getting Diablo 4.
It would have been better. I think the message would have been well received. It would be like, hey, we got Diablo 4. Just like a splash art or something like that.
But we talked about this before, right? Nintendo does it smartly. Where they're just as skeevy as some of these other guys, but they're not doing it in a way that's gross to gamers.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think that's kind of the line that I think all these companies are walking. Some of them are walking it better than others. EA walks it as poorly as possible, you know, and then you have other ones kind of in the middle on the gradients there. I think Nintendo's one of the better ones. I think Sony, interestingly enough, is one of the best ones. They tend to not have any microtransactions at all in their games.
That's true. I think
their first party stuff in particular.
Now this could either go one of two ways. This can push them to do it more, as a a pride thing, like, oh, you're not gonna take this away from us, or this can get them to calm it down a little bit because we don't want the government in our games.
I think they've already calmed down, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Battlefront 2 was a wake up call for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. That game. I think that game put the industry on notice that gamers are not going to stand for some of this shit, you know?
Yeah.
And we've seen it kind of happen time and time again with some of these games. Like, it's not... Some of these games that are microtransaction-laden, people... Like Apex Legends is another good example, right? That game came out free-to-play, but the microtransactions, they had their little season pass, and everybody... It was shit. It was like complete garbage for what you were paying for.
Yeah.
You know? And people called them out on that, you know? It's like... aren't paying for it. So I think that's kind of the thing, is we need to put our money where our mouth is, and I think these companies are learning that, unfortunately this is kind of gross in a way, that they're learning what they can get away with, and this is what they've always done, but
well I think fanboyism is kind of dying. almost in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it's
In
slow.
Some ways.
Slow ways.
Some
it's like
ways.
it feels like
all
90.
those Game of Thrones fanboys make me feel otherwise about that.
Yeah, I mean, but like I feel like in video, as far as video games wise, it's slowly dying. As far as people aren't really battling each other, like, oh, who's the best console maker now? You know, Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo.
It's true. I don't see that as much anymore. Which is good because it's the dumbest argument.
Yeah,
who gives a shit?
Because I think we see how toxic it is, and like how they profit off that toxicity. And I think it's all because of microtransactions. So thank you, microtransactions.
I'm going to leave that there. All right, let's move on. Okay, so we talked about Borderlands last week, gameplay reveal, and Randy Pitchford had some drama. Well, Randy Pitchford just can't stay out of the news because this dude doesn't know how to shut his mouth. So Claptrap, which is the funny robot character in Borderlands, the one that kind of is the comic relief character, typically in Borderlands games. His voice actor in Borderlands 2 is not voicing the character in Borderlands 3. He was asked about it, and then he was asked about it by a fan. He said no, and then he said they didn't want to pay him or whatever for his time. Randy Pitchford came out and was like, he said that we offered him standard market rate, and then we even offered him twice standard market rate. He still didn't want it, and then David Eddings, who's the voice actor, started talking about he had some demands, one in particular that was he wanted an apology for an incident that happened a few years ago. That was, he alleges that Randy Pitchford physically assaulted him. So he kind of came out in the past couple days and actually like detailed this, and said that he approached Randy in a hotel. Let's see,
what event was it they were at?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Here we go. Waited in a sound booth, bro. Oh man,
I want to say GDC, but
I think it was. Yeah, it was. Eddings said at 2017 Game Developers Conference at the Marriott Marquis Hotel, during which he was told by two separate people that someone named Greg Richardson was inquiring about a price on purchasing Gearbox.
Okay,
which would have been big news. Pitchford and Richardson apparently knew each other at that point. The ongoing lawsuit between Gearbox and former counsel Wade Chandler alleges that they had worked together on prior financial deals. So this lawsuit indicates that Richardson and Pitchford had dealings in the past.
Okay.
And then Eddings said that he approached Randy about this rumor, and Randy got extremely pissed and demanded to know where he got the information. He got angry when Eddings refused to tell him, and then he shoved him. In Eddings' words, quote, "He shoved the fuck out of me while I'm on the balls of my feet trying to whisper. He knocked me back 4 steps. I believe I caught him in a deception," Eddings said. And then there were witnesses to this encounter. One that did not has not confirmed or denied anything that happened here. But then the other one, the former Gearbox co-founder Landon Montgomery, said David leaned up to whisper something to Randy, and out of the blue, Randy shoves him hard. And then Eddings said after this GDC incident, he was, quote, rage-fired because he refused to reveal his source. And this whole thing kind of came out, and quite contrary to Randy Pitchford's MO, he went radio silent.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You know how he was tweeting up a storm last week about that article or whatever? After this came out, he has not said anything about it. Not a single peep. And he started tweeting about innocuous bullshit related to Borderlands 3 again after this, and hasn't made a single statement about it. So, this dude is like... I feel really bad for the employees that work at Gearbox, because they get to work on an awesome IP in Borderlands 3, but then they don't get to experience the joy of everyone being hyped about it, because their fucking CEO is such an, like, I don't want to call him an idiot, but like,
no, he's an idiot,
straight up. Like, yeah, dude, like some of these things, dude, the amount of things he's been accused of the past year, I feel like some of them have to be true. It's just there's just so many of them that because he's been accused of having child pornography on a USB drive.
Let's be honest with that one. That one he said it was his friends.
Okay, but he said that it was. I think he detailed it too. He said that it was a video of a woman, I think, orgasming or something like that, and like it's like
he said he was trying to protect a friend. Now that in itself is wrong, but
yeah,
I would. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying with these other legends.
But then we have the lawsuit that I talked about previously. Where he's being accused by a former business partner of basically taking $12 million for himself as a bonus out of the revenue that Gearbox
the revenue pool, whatever they call it,
off of Borderlands 2, and just took it for himself and didn't and it was taken out of the pool of bonuses that would have been given to employees.
And let's not forget how Borderlands was made. It was made off the backs of Sega's money.
Borderlands 2, yes.
Oh, Borderlands 2?
So
I thought it was Borderlands 1.
Yeah, so remember the story with this was, everybody remembers Aliens Colonial Marines.
Terrible game.
That was a game, horrifying game. Randy Pitchford, this one of Randy's worst moments, really, is him just lying about the quality of that game.
Yeah.
Which he continues to deny to this day that game is bad. And they got money from Sega to make that game. And then they used that money to make Borderlands 2 instead, and they made a shitty game in Aliens Colonial Marines.
Yep.
And they made a great game in Borderlands 2. So there's that, there's the lawsuit, there's these allegations from Eddings, and it's just like, at this point, I just want this dude to go away. Like, I'm kind of tired of him being the mouthpiece of Gearbox. Like, he's not a bad speaker. He's fine as a speaker. Like, I think he's actually pretty good. But the problem is he puts his foot in his mouth, and then he goes on Twitter.
He just doesn't know when to shut the hell up.
Yeah, and he just goes on Twitter and he starts acting like an asshole towards people because they talk shit about him, or they correctly point out that he said the game's not going to have microtransactions when it's going to have microtransactions.
When it has microtransactions.
Like,
I mean, to me, honestly, like, I don't want to say that tarnishes. That kind of tarnishes Borderlands because you are like the face of Borderlands. So
that's why I said I feel bad because they don't get to enjoy.
Yeah, because it is an awesome IP, but you got this like legacy behind it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird because Borderlands is a good IP, but then you got this guy here who's just like, yeah, I stole money from Sega. Yeah, I stole money from my own employees,
but I didn't.
And
he talks so much trash about like game journalists, as much as we talk trash about him, like this dude's such an a-hole to them. Like he's doing it in a way that's like unjustified. When they're actually in the right, he's going at them and calling them like being a dick to them. You know? Like, dude, like Game Informer, there was nothing wrong with Game Informer's article.
Yeah, I read that article. It was not facetious at all.
It was factually correct.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I understand his point that he, like, that was what I was saying initially last week, is like he misspoke clearly. That he said it literally before he said the word microtransactions. He was like, there will be cosmetics like we had in Borderlands 2, but there will be none of that microtransaction garbage, like that free-to-play garbage, is what he said pretty much.
Yeah.
And he just didn't need to use the word microtransactions. If you take that word out, the rest of the sentence is fine.
Like, there won't be any loot boxes.
Yeah, there won't be any loot boxes or premium currency. That's what he needed to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said the wrong words. And I don't have a problem with that. I didn't really get on him that bad about that. Like, I don't, like, it's fine. I knew what he meant, you know. But then the Game Informer article gets published and he just goes off on these people, and then this goes out. He goes off on this David Eddings guy, and it's like he kind of dug himself a hole, because if Eddings is telling the truth, like, Randy's an idiot. Like, why are you going at this guy? Like, he's got information over you. You know?
Exactly.
Like, and then because this happened with another voice actor, Troy Baker, who's the voice actor for Reese from Tales from the Borderlands, which is the main character of that game, or one of the two main characters.
And he's like a huge anime voice actor for a lot of
animes. Yes, he's also big in video games as well. Yeah. Like, he's voiced many great characters, and he's a great voice actor. And there was the whole back and forth between them too, where he got asked by a fan if he was coming back to voice Reese, and he was like, no, they told me that they didn't want me to do it, basically. Yeah. And then Randy was like, no, we offered him the deal, and he said he didn't want to do it. And then Troy Baker came back and was like, no, that's not what happened at all. And then Pitchford was like, oh, well, I heard from somebody that he got offered and thing. And then Troy was like, yeah, you should. You're already contradicting yourself. Like, so
yeah, he just puts his foot in his.
Yeah, he just gets caught in lies.
Yeah, man.
Dude, like,
he just needs to stop, man.
Yeah, I just like the fact that he went radio silent is to me like a good thing. Like, get out of the way, dude.
Yeah, just shut up.
We got 4 months.
I'm pretty sure someone else told. I'm pretty sure he was on the way. Like, he was typing on his little phone, tick tick tick, and then they were like, "Bro, listen."
Dude, I think somebody at Take-Two, I feel like must have stepped in.
They had to.
They've been like, Randy, fucking stop, because
no, they said shut the fuck up.
Yeah, because dude, Borderlands 3 is coming out in 4 months, and I'm sure they have a whole media plan for this game. They're gonna hype the fuck out of this game, and dude, he's ruining it. Yeah, you know, like single-handedly ruining it.
If he keeps going, it's gonna get bad. It's gonna get worse.
Exactly. So I have a feeling he's going to be real silent for the next few months. Like,
good.
I think this situation has gotten that bad.
Because I already told you the game looks good. Like,
it does. It looks fantastic. I'm super excited about this game. Like,
yeah, the game looks fucking awesome. And
dude, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to say anything else.
No, he
doesn't. I actually
hate
that. He needs
to just tweet out his stupid little shift codes every couple days.
Yeah, there
that's
you
all
go.
He needs to
that's
do.
all he needs
That's
to
all
do.
you got to do, Randy. Like, you just tweet out shift codes. That's the only reason anybody follows you anyways. Like, there's just do that, okay? Everything will be fine. You know, you don't have to go at fucking Jim Sterling every time he tweets a guy or makes a freaking video about you. Like, it's like, dude, it's like he's done that in the past. Like, the guy's out of control, man.
Yeah, he has a fucking.
He's got vendettas against certain people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
He needs to grow up, man.
All right, let's move on to some better news.
Yeah.
So we talked about there was going to be a state of play on Thursday, and it happened. And it was better than the first one.
It was way better than the first one.
It was a lot better than the first one. So we got some little bit of a reveal of.
So was this the Sony IP that was like, oh, Sony has an unrevealed IP coming up?
Well, they said that. Sony said that.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, we're going to get into that in a second. So, first thing that started, though, was Monster Hunter Iceborne, the Iceborne expansion. It looks really cool.
Yes,
monsters look cool.
The environment looks that new ice environment looks super dope.
And dude, snow environment's my favorite environments.
I agree with you.
Monster Hunter, any game really, but Monster Hunter in particular.
Yeah.
I love the snow environment, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I think a lot of our friends are looking forward to it as well, so we may be jumping back into the Monster Hunter train.
Yeah, boy.
In September. So that looked pretty good. Any monsters in particular that stood out to you, though?
Nargacuga's back, man.
Nargacuga's back. Did you see that giant like stag thing though?
Oh yeah,
dude, that thing looked cool as hell.
You know what? It's a wyvern. It's not like a.
You're right. It's a wyvern stag or something like that.
It is it's like a wyvern stag monster or some shit like that. I thought it was gonna be like a mammal, like you know the Gammoth on Monster
like
Generation.
Just a beast, like beast or whatever.
So that I think I don't know if the Nargacuga is still considered a wyvern.
It is.
Okay.
Even though it's like a bat monster.
Yeah, it looks like a bat to me, but
I
really hope. Now, I don't know if these are all the monsters that are revealed.
No, I doubt it.
Okay.
There's got to be way more than that.
So
I'm expecting 15.
15? Yeah, that's a decent.
15 to 20.
That's a decent number.
Small, big and small.
Yeah.
I am legitimately hoping for a lot of small monsters.
I'm hoping for some variations, some variants.
Yeah. No, dude, I want some old ones like the Lagombi. I want that one.
Yeah.
I want the Blaganga, like the giant gorilla.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I was disappointed because they showed more like dragon type
dragons.
Yeah. I want like Lagumbis and Raj. I want Rajang in this bitch.
Give me that Rajang, man.
Yeah, just seeing him like fight. Imagine him fighting the fucking.
Rajang's such a badass monster, dude. Like my first fight against that thing, I was like
terrified.
What is happening?
Imagine that thing against the Nergigante, man.
Oof, dude, he would beast the fuck out of Nergigante. Dude, Nergigante's a chump. He grabbed those horns, Super Saiyan,
it just crush
him. Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Rajang is just a beast. I need to see that thing in Monster Hunter World's like graphical style. Like I need that in my life.
Yeah,
like please put Rajang in.
That's one of my favorite monsters besides Nargacuga. That's
such a cool monster. Yeah. There was that. Then there was this game called Riverbond, which was a kind of like a ARPG shoot and slash kind of game. Kind of cute. It was like a pixel, sort of like Minecraft style.
Oh yeah, okay, I see.
Game.
Yeah.
Then we had this one called Away. So I think this was the one that was the IP that wasn't revealed.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the Alien vs Predator one.
I thought that at first too, but then this got shown, and I was like, "Oh, this is the game," because this is the one that you're like a one of those like one of those flying squirrels or whatever, and you're just running through like nature environments and stuff, and like fighting against like spiders.
Oh my fucking God.
It looked kind of cool.
I'm sorry.
If it's $20, I might check it out. If it's
sorry.
$40, I'm good.
I'm just not a big fan of these like super artsy games. Like I am aware video games are art, but like what's that one game?
Unraveled.
No, I like that game.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. It's actually a 2D platformer.
It
but
is
like,
cute, yeah.
what was it called? Strange Away, Array Strange, or something like that, or not Stranger Things.
Not Stranger Things. Yeah.
It's called A Journey. It's made by Square Enix.
Journey.
No. It's made by
not
Journey.
Okay.
It's made by Square Enix. It's one of those like story games. What is it called?
Life is Strange?
Life is Strange.
Okay.
I fucking hate that game.
Why, dude?
Oh my
I've never
God.
played it. I wanted to play it. Is it bad?
I haven't played it. I mean, I watched
okay.
walkthroughs of it, but it's just like, hey man, this game looks pretty cool. But
What, Away?
Yeah,
I told you. You're like sitting there trashing it. It looks kind of interesting.
It looks
Like,
pretty cool. Actually.
I don't know if it's like $20 or $30. I might give it a shot. Like,
Hey man, now this is a fucking video game, but like these other games, like Life is Strange, I'm like, bro, I don't fucking care about me living.
You're talking about that like Telltale style? Okay.
Yeah, I just don't care about it, man.
No. This is like a game. It's like a third person. Like you're fighting against like giant spiders and stuff. Like
yeah,
it looks kind of cool.
I actually might buy this. I
don't know if they gave us a release date for it though.
That's actually pretty cool.
I might look and see. But other than that, we got to look at some Predator game. And then we also got to look at Medieval. Yeah, the Medieval remake. Did you have any?
Actually, I don't have any opinions on Medieval. I didn't play it when it first came out on the PS1.
Yeah, but what did you think of this?
The reveal, the remake from like the original game that I remember.
Yeah.
Looks really pretty fucking dope. I might buy it, man.
You think so? Because dude, to me, it looked kind of. Like,
so I didn't play the original.
It looked clunky as fuck to me. Like, I don't know if that's the point, but it looked really like his movement and his attacking patterns and stuff. Like the animations for his attacks looked kind of clunky, and I think the game kind of looked like it was a little laggy in the stream. Like it seemed like it was dropping. Like the footage they had was dropping frames. It felt like so. I don't know if I'm not gonna play that.
I think they tried to stay true to like the retro style of Medieval.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it does look pretty clunky, but I do remember watching old gameplay footage of the older games, and it being pretty clunky as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, hey, more power to them. And people who like this game. I mean, it always like a pretty cool IP, but I just never played it for some reason.
Yeah. So that Away game, actually, they have a whole blog post about it, kind of detailing some of the game. So, looks interesting. I cannot find a release date, though.
Yeah, it's probably
on here. So
typical Sony.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is dated for 2019, so I think it's supposed to be coming this year, but... we'll see. I'm gonna keep my eye on that one for sure. So, I mean, the big kind of the one last thing or whatever for this stream. This is probably the thing that made this stream actually good for a lot of people, which is funny because this isn't Sony's game. Was the Final Fantasy VII remake?
For the record,
trailer.
Mine was Monster Hunter World. I was hyped as shit when I saw that.
100%. 100%. More people care about that now than they used to. So maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy VII remake re-emerged. This is the version now. So, what we saw originally in 2015 was made by a company called CyberConnect. They were working on the game for a couple years.
Yeah.
Square Enix a couple years ago cut them off the project and rebooted this whole thing.
We still don't know why, to be honest with you.
No, we don't. And what we saw back in 2015 is not what the game is now.
Yeah.
It definitely did look a little different in this trailer. It doesn't look... I don't know. What did you think of it?
So I saw the trailer and I was in my group chat and my friends was like, "Oh shit!" Oh, like they're like huge Final Fantasy nerds. So they're like, "Oh shit! It looks like fucking Final Fantasy 15." I'm like, "Ew, instant ew," because I hate the fucking combat. But now watch the trailers though.
Yeah.
And for myself, because I was just going by their messages, and it looks like you never played Crisis Core, right?
No.
Oh, it looks like Crisis Core.
Really?
That's
but it looks like an action game. Like
no, Crisis Core is an action game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This looks like an action game.
Yeah,
like,
man.
This looks like it
looks like an RPG action game.
It looks a little bit more legit than that. So, yeah, I mean, I will note that everything shown in this trailer was from the first part of the game, like the first 25% probably or so.
Are they still doing the episodic thing?
So that's what I want to get at with this, is that I don't think they confirmed it at all, but the trailer, the fact that they only showed the first 25% or 33% of the game kind of indicates to me that it's still episodic, maybe, and that's kind of what rumors are indicating, is that it's still going to be episodic. Which, dude, if it's episodic, you need to get the first episode out like this fucking year. What are you doing? Like
I just
want to
know
this
how
game
they
4 fucking years.
How they gonna do an RPG in episodic mode?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how you split the game up into 3 chunks that are satisfying. I don't know how you do that. Like it seems silly.
Well, I guess they can do it where the disc cut off. Remember the discs were like 4.
There were 3 discs.
3
right?
discs, yeah. 3 or 4 discs.
I guess you could do that.
Yeah, but like when disc 1 cuts off, that's going to be episode 1.
I guess.
Them doing 7
like
episode. I heard it was supposed to be 7 episodes in honor of 7, but that's stupid.
I thought it was always 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard 7 when it first.
Well,
I kind of went dark after that.
Well, so I kind of want to get your thoughts on just the nature of the game in general, like the gameplay. So, how do you feel about them changing it into an action game rather than the action turn-based that it used to be? Because I know a lot of people are upset about that, and I understand, but Final Fantasy VII is, like, to me, not really a good game. So
it's not a good game.
So I'm from my perspective, I'm all about this remake. Like, I'm like, oh, this might actually make me like Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, people were saying, I prefer Chrono Trigger's style of turn by turn.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah.
And people were trying to say like this Final Fantasy VII had the same battle system as Chrono Trigger. I just don't feel like it did. Like their real time battle system was different.
Remember, Chrono Trigger you moved around the screen and stuff, and that actually, I'm pretty sure that affected combat at certain points in certain ways. Whereas with Final Fantasy VII, that is not the case. You didn't move around. You were in a static position the entire battle.
Okay.
Like, I remember your characters in Chrono Trigger moved around for sure. I never got super far in Chrono Trigger, so I don't know if the placement of your characters mattered that much. But
I do remember it was an active battle. Like
it is. No, it was the first. It was the first. I think it was one of the first like active.
Yeah, because if you just stood there, the enemy would still attack you.
Yes,
and I like that. I don't know why, it was just really intuitive.
Final Fantasy VII was the same way.
Yeah,
but I think there were some differences though, and the other thing is the way the characters leveled up was different in both games.
Oh yeah,
totally.
I mean, so coming from that aspect, I mean, I think. I don't know. When I played Crisis Core, because you got to remember, I didn't play Final Fantasy VII first. I played Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core first.
Gotcha.
Then I went to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a totally different opinion on Cloud being a bitch than everyone else in my opinion. But
I mean, I think he's a bitch too. I don't know. Like, dude, him in this trailer, I was just like, oh, I'm so over it already.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like him and Aerith. Like, Aerith just like, here's this flower, and he's just like, oh, a flower. I'm like, bro, it's a flower. Just take the flower. She's hitting on you, okay? Like, dude, God.
But yeah, like the actions, like the way they did the action game in Final Fantasy Crisis Core, it was like, it was real action. You press the button to attack.
Yep.
Almost Kingdom Hearts stylish, but it wasn't as free moving as Kingdom Hearts. You still had, it was almost like, have you played Versus 13?
No.
I'm not Versus 13. I'm sorry.
Nobody's played that game.
Lightning Returns. Lightning Returns.
No, I haven't played that.
Okay, it was kind of almost like that, but you can do you have a little bit more movement with your character.
Okay.
This one kind of looks like it's going back to that, harping to that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and I don't mind the combat being like that. Like, as long as it's not, if it's episodic, as long as it's not like on rails, like you can level up and your level makes a difference.
I think if they turn this into a linear game, it's going to make people very upset.
Yes.
And that justifiably so. I mean, the thing for me is, if you're going to remake this game, I don't, from Square's perspective, like, what's the point of remaking it if you're just going to make the same game you made and just make the graphics look pretty? Like, that's just not an interesting... It's not an interesting project for a game creator, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I think, to me, like, I don't have a problem with them changing the combat systems.
I just don't want it to be. I just don't want it to be super linear.
No, and I don't want it to be Final Fantasy 15 either.
Yeah.
Like, I hope it's more action combat.
Jesus Christ, that game is so bad.
Yes. Yes, it was. So I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm excited. I'm going to play this out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it could be. I think it can be really good.
It can be.
I think it can be really good.
However, I do think it can ruin a lot of people's legacy of this game.
Good. The game's not good. It's not good.
You should have seen his face. It was like straight. It was like good.
Good. I need that in my life. I need the internet to calm down about Final Fantasy VII, because
I think a lot of the newer generation gamers are like, this is what you guys are like harping over.
100%. And I'm gonna be with them. I'm gonna be with the millennials, baby. I'm joining them on this one, because fuck this shit. Okay, Final Fantasy VII is not that good of a game.
It isn't. I mean, I like 8. I think 8's superior, but
I never played 8.
I think 8's
I played
superior.
7 and I was like, I'm over it. I can't do this.
I think 8 superior has a better story. I think 6 has a way better story. I think
10's better.
No, 10's not better.
10's got a better story. Overall plot, yes, 100%, 100%, 100%. You're okay. No, don't fucking do this. Final Fantasy X gets all this hate because of one particular fucking scene. Yes, yeah, I know exactly the ha 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 scene. Yeah, no, we all know what it is. That is one scene in an entire game. Okay, the game itself, outside of that scene, you take that fucking scene out, dude. The game is good, okay? The story is good, alright?
I mean, it is, but
Yuna and Tidus' story is tragic, okay?
That part of the fucking... I remember being about Liverpool playing that shit.
Oh yeah, you just mute the volume down.
Oh my god, my mom was like, what the fuck are you playing?
Montrell's lost it, everybody. He's totally gone. Oh my god. He's just like, dude. I remember the first time I played that game, and I remember I got to that scene, I was like, what is happening right now?
I've never felt so awkward playing a video game in my life, man.
Oh my god.
I played some crazy shit in front of her, and that, I was like, yo, this is too cringy for me. I gotta skip this scene. Oh man.
That's hilarious. Well,
I mean, you're right. The game, the twist at the end was really cool. And everything like that.
And Yuna and Tidus' relationship is way better than fucking Clouds and Aerith.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I think Sin is a way cooler villain than Sephiroth.
Yeah, Sephiroth was really one dimensional.
Yeah. And he just looks cool and has a giant sword.
That's true.
It's a shallow. I think it's just a shallow.
I think it was a lot of people's first introduction into anime.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right, for sure. Yeah. Well, also, it was probably one of the first games where they saw a main character get killed.
Yeah.
And it's a permanent thing. So I think that affected a lot of people in a way where, fine, they killed the character. That doesn't inherently make the story be good. You know? It's I'm all for that. I love it when RPGs go crazy and do shit like that, where they kill a character they've given you for a large chunk of the game.
Yeah.
And, just take a party member away. I love that shit.
And she was, your primary healer.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
No, I get it. So, I think from the perspective... I think the thing is, for me, I wasn't attached to her in that way. I didn't really care about her.
I mean, I understood the attachment. Like I said, unfortunately, I played it after the hype.
I played it too late. Yeah, that's the problem. I think I played it during, at the tail end, or, the beginning of Gen 7.
Yeah, yeah.
And the problem with that was the game was just so dated, and it was super spoiler. I knew Aerith died.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously we're spoiling this for everybody, but dude, the game's been
the game's been out for 20 years, yeah, man.
Get over it. then and the thing is, the game doesn't really hold up. That's the problem. Is just the art is terrible. Like, the game looks awful. Like, from a visual standpoint. The simple
fact that they ported that game 7 fucking times, or probably even more.
That's my problem with it. Is it's so overblown on how much people love this fucking game, dude. It's like, it's not. Like,
you can't even get.
I'm sitting here like, I just want Bait and Katos remastered or something. Like,
bro, we're never getting a Bait and Katos remastered
or another Bait and Katos game. Like, please, God, give it to me. Like, it's so much better. It's so much better.
You know what your Bait and Katos is? It's that Kingdom Hearts card game.
Fuck
I forgot.
You. Fuck you. Fuck off, man. The Final Fantasies of the world are the reason why we don't get more games like Bait and Katos, okay? Fuck Final Fantasy, alright?
All right.
Put it out there.
I'm with you there,
Except
my brother.
Final Fantasy 10.
Final
Except
Fantasy
for
10?
that scene.
10 is okay. I like 10.
Like, come on, Aaron's cool, dude.
He is.
Like, he's fucking cool.
I like Final Fantasy 10.
I can go either way on Waka. Kamari, blah, whatever.
I didn't
Dude,
really...
think about the characters in Final Fantasy 7. Who's cool in that game? Like, who, besides, like, Tifa?
I mean, people don't like Tifa for one thing anyway, but... so that's
Dude, Barrett's annoying. Cloud's a bitch. Aerith dies. Tifa's... As I said, I think she's kind of cool. Vincent's just emo, and Red 13's a dog.
Let's not forget that horrible Vincent game that came on a PS2.
Yeah, Dirge's Cerberus, and then Yuffie's fucking Yuffie. Like, who cares? Like,
yeah, she's like a ninja.
None of them are interesting characters. Not a single one of them. Like Aerith. The only thing interesting about Aerith is that she dies. Like,
yeah, that's true.
And Cloud's not interesting at all. Cloud's. Like we said before, Zack should have been the main character. Fuck Cloud. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, Zack's actually cool and interesting. Like, Cloud's a boring, emotionless idiot. Like, and Sephiroth is literally just there to taunt him the whole game and just fuck with him. And it's like, it's just not an interesting game.
Yeah, it's not.
So this game, hopefully, will present the game in a way that will make it interesting to me.
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do the same story arc.
I agree with you. No, I mean, that's fine. If they can add scenes that give some of these characters some color, then that might improve the game. I think that's the problem. Is I think a lot of the characters in the game don't get moments to shine, really.
Okay.
And that, from my memory of it, I'm sure. If anybody listens to this, they're gonna fucking flame the shit out of me and be like, "Oh, you're wrong. This happens in fucking 70 hours into the game or whatever." But dude, I don't remember, so it didn't have an impact on me. Okay.
Oh my god.
I really don't like this game.
I can see, but I mean, I don't like it either, but I appreciate it. I appreciate what it did to the culture, but
it did. It's an important game.
Yeah,
I recognize that. I respect it for that.
Well, yeah, you're right. We should get Bait and Katos. That game doesn't get enough. Dude. Man, the amount of people. I'm sorry, I don't know. I know we're going on a rant here, but the amount of people that did not play that game,
it enrages me to this day.
And people tell me like, "Oh man, I love JRPGs. I played this game, and you know what? Persona 3 is the best RPG." I'm like, bro, have you played Bait and Katos? What's that?
Persona can go fuck right off, okay? Bait and Katos is real shit, okay? That is a JRPG, man. Oh, I know we've talked about it before. I know we're beating a dead horse with this, guy.
You guys have got to play that.
Bait and Katos is one of my favorite games ever.
Cheap. It's cheap to buy, and a GameCube is cheap to buy. If you DM me, I will buy you a GameCube and Bait and Katos.
You want to talk about a twist in a game? That game did a JRPG twist better than any game I've ever played. Seriously.
Yes.
They do something amazing and execute it flawlessly.
And we're not going to spoil it for you.
And I'm not spoiling it. No. Oh, fuck no. I'm not ruining that shit for you. No. You go buy a GameCube, or you DM Montrell and get him to buy you a GameCube, and you buy Bait and Katos and you play Bait and Katos. And when you get to the twist, you come in here and you tell me how amazing it was, because, dude, it's so good. It's so good.
Not only the story, but the way the combat is taught to you.
100%. That's the other thing about it, too. It's not just about the story. The gameplay is awesome. The combat system is so fun, dude. And, like, there's so many boss battles from that game that I have just burned in my brain because they're so fun. Like, dude, every time you fight Giacomo in that game, like, those are some of my favorite fights, like, in that game.
Yeah.
And, dude, even just exploring the world is so beautiful, and just running around the environments is, like, it's just such a beautiful game. I will say it's one flaw, and it's a big flaw. turn the voice acting off because it's awful.
Yeah.
It's real bad, and it sounds like they were in a garage recording. So turn that off, and you'll be good to go, man. Just go along and enjoy the ride, all right? Because, man, Bait and Kato's is good.
Well, speaking of bad RPGs,
we got on a rant, man. So speaking of Square Enix, man, there was their financials came out for their fiscal year. So they had a good fiscal year. Square Enix, this is coming from Destructoid. Square Enix declared a 28.5% year-over-year decline in profits, posting a net gain of $169 million. Sales up 7.62% and revenue up 8.2%. Both increased. Gains were expected to be expected concerning the Kingdom Hearts 3, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Just Cause 4, Octopath Traveler, all launched within the last fiscal year. However, Square Enix says that higher costs associated with the release of new titles ultimately diminished the impact of the strong sales. So this is kind of what I want to get into, because we've talked about the state of Square Enix in the past, a few episodes ago. And this kind of confirms what we were talking about, that their games sell, and they can make good games that people like, but they take so long to make these games that they can't even reap the benefits of it. Like, they spend so much money in dev that...
Actually, this would probably get into, like, the topic of the show as well, but, yeah, like, it's like there's no balance. Like, either you get companies that make games really fast, poop them out really quickly, and they just crappy, or you get companies that take forever to make a game, and they come out really good. I mean, not... in Anthem's case, but
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay, yeah.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, though, Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, I mean, those are good games. Just Cause 4, I mean, I like that game. Yeah. It's a good that's like the only open world game I like. Really.
I don't really care for it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. It's the shit you can do in that game is amazing.
It's, people like it. It's grappling hooks.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they need someone to manage them. I think they have creators over there.
The top end of that company is just not capable of doing it. They
have creators over there that have these grandiose ideas,
and they can't do them because they're unrealistic.
Exactly.
I mean, dude, Versus 13, thinking about it now, Versus 13 back in the PS3 generation was an unrealistic game.
And I see why they canceled it.
Yeah, I do too, because it was they weren't going to be able to make it for that console.
Yeah.
Like, thinking about it now, like they were way over the top with what they were trying to do, I think. And Final Fantasy 13, even that game was like announced in like 2005 when
really?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was announced like pre PS3 coming out, or it might have been the same year the PS3 came out, but. Dude, I remember that game got delayed like 2 whole years after it got announced because they just couldn't finish it. And then they finally finished it, and the game is like it's fine, but it just wasn't, like, you could tell they wanted to do more with it, and they just couldn't, you know? It's like, I think that's my problem with Square, and it's kind of a give and take. I like them because they're ambitious, but I don't like them because their ambition makes their games take forever to come out.
Yeah, there's no balance with them.
Yeah, there is no balance with them. Like, they're not... Like, they just don't... Like, dude, just make a game.
It's like they have a whole bunch of Kanye West over there, and they just can't control him. Like, he makes good content, but it takes forever.
5 years.
Yeah, like, you gotta wrangle him in to make the stuff.
Yeah.
And, I just feel like Nomura's like that, and probably their other creative heads over there like that. They have these good ideas in their head, but there should be a job for a person who can just like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. This is the scope we have. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they have a job for someone like that.
Yeah, that's what a producer's supposed to do.
Oh, okay, yeah. There you go.
A producer manages the timeline of a project, right?
Yeah.
And make sure everything hits deadlines and everything like that. So at the beginning, they would be the person to point out that, yeah, this scope might be a little bit too ambitious for the timeline we're trying to hit. You know? Like, they would be probably the person to point that out. So.
And I understand you don't want to be the bearer of bad news and demoralize the team, but sometimes you have to be realistic. And it looks, I mean, they can obviously see that realism is needed in Square Enix right now from them losing profits, or not even losing it, but probably going stagnant or even.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part about Square is that like they're capable of it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, dude, they remade Final Fantasy XIV in 2 years,
and that game's really good.
And that game's really good. You know, it's like I don't like that's an MMO they did that with.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously a lot of the base assets and everything were there, but. Like, dude, they, like, remade that game from the ground up, though, you know, for the most part.
Yep.
And, like, they redid some of the environments, and obviously the class systems and the way the game plays and everything like that was completely redone. So that's a lot of work that they did in a really short amount of time. You know, they did that, but then you look at, like, Kingdom Hearts 3, and then you look at Final Fantasy 15, it's like, what about those games makes them take so long for you to make? You know, it's like, it feels like, to me, you know, it almost makes me think that they do the BioWare thing that BioWare did with Anthem.
Yeah.
Every game.
They crunch it.
Where they fuck around for like 2 years. And they're like, man, it would be really fun to do this, and this. And then they don't do any of that. And then they actually make a game in 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I feel like they do. And I don't, just like, that's not a healthy way to make a game, you know?
It's definitely not.
It's a wasted time and assets, too. Dude, like, I would rather you actually make a game in 4 years rather than
I think game companies should be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. They do it, and if they have like a whole 2 years left, like, oh man, we finished ahead of schedule, let's add this other shit in. It's like, okay,
which is exactly what Nintendo did with Breath of the Wild, right? That game was a Wii U game, and they just held it until Switch came out.
Yeah.
And I think that game was done like a year and a half before it came out.
Yeah.
And I think they were just making the world bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and adding shrines and shit. And that game is gigantic as a result, right? And like, there's nothing wrong with that. That game's one of the most popular games on the Switch.
Yeah.
Forever will be, right? I think it's probably the most like financially successful Zelda that's ever come out.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
I think you're right.
So it's like it pays off, right, to do stuff like that. Like,
well, if you think about each Zelda game, it seems like they know what they're going into. Like, I never came from a Zelda game and been like, man, they could have added this.
It feels like a dungeon's missing.
Yeah, like I feel like each Zelda game, even Skyward Sword,
Wind Waker left me with that feeling.
You know what? I can agree with that.
Because it only has 5 dungeons. Or 4. No, it's 5.
5.
I think it's 5.
Yeah,
that game definitely left me with that feeling like this feels incomplete.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Even though it is a big game. But,
yeah, it is a huge game.
Yeah.
But I mean, even still though, playing that, when you're in the moment, you don't really feel like I didn't feel like that. I don't know. I just love Wind Waker.
No, it's true. It's more of a after I finished the game how I felt kind of thing. Like in the moment, you're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, but like when I'm playing games, usually if I get that feeling, I'm playing the game. I'm like, man, they could have added this here. Cause like when I was playing Kingdom Hearts, it was just apparent. Like, this could have been added here. This could have been added here. This could have been added here.
Yeah. Well, dude. It's because think about the last 10 years of Square. Right. What if they released? I mean, they released Bravely Default, Bravely Default 2, Octopath Traveler, all made by the same team. That team has their shit together.
Yeah, they do.
Right? Because they're churning games out, right? And they're good games too. All three of those games are good games.
Yes.
Like I've only played Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler, but both of them are quality RPGs.
I played Bravely Default 2.
Oh man!
I played Bravely Default 2. Okay. I haven't played 1, and I haven't played Octopath Traveler.
We're filling our gaps, right?
Yeah.
So Bravely Default 2, good game?
Yeah, it was a good game. I love it.
Fair enough. So all three of those games we think are good games.
Yeah.
Made by that's one of their secondary teams too, internally, right? But that team is turning into one of their best teams, in my opinion. Like I
think that team's gonna be outshined. I mean, not outshined, but like overlooked.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Well, dude, isn't the fact that Octopath Traveler is a Switch exclusive for a year like an indicator of that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you strand that game on Switch? Like, I know, like it did great, and it is a great game for the Switch, but that feels like a mistake. Like, that game should have been released for all platforms. Like, I think it would have done incredibly well if it had been released on all platforms. A lot better than I think Square probably would have expected, right? I think on PS4 that game would have sold millions. Like,
oh yeah,
for sure,
100%.
So I think that team is like one of their better teams. But then when you look at the rest of their output over the past 10 years, like what are you left with? Like you've got okay, I think 10 years ago Final Fantasy 13 came out. And then 13.2 came out, I think, a year or two later.
Yeah.
And then 13.3 came out a year or two after that. So you've got two games pretty quickly there. But they were using the same engine for that game, for all three of those games. And they probably had a lot of assets already that they were just reusing. So they're probably fairly easy to make, those sequels.
Yeah.
When you look at the original projects, like Final Fantasy 15 and then Kingdom Hearts 3, those two took them
forever.
6 or 7 years apiece, you know?
I think the problem is also with Bravely Default's team or Bravely Default's and Octopath Traveler's team. The money is not unlimited. I feel like the team that makes
they actually have limitations.
Yeah,
the team that makes Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I think there is no limit.
Yeah.
To what they're allowed to do.
Exactly,
which is a problem, right? The Octopath team has to make concessions and know what they're making, right, and know that they can make it within the time frame they have, and the budget they have. So I think the thing is, some of the best games we've ever gotten were made because of constraints, right? Technical, budgetary, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of the best games that people hold up to this day to be the best of all time are games that are on the NES, the Super NES, consoles that are pathetically weak compared to today's standards.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
They were made under extreme hardware limitations, but that forced levels of creativity that I think nowadays people don't exhibit because they don't have to. Right? They can do exactly what they want to do because the technology allows them to do that. And that's becoming even more true now with PS5s coming soon. It's like, it's just whatever you can think of, you can make a game for it now, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's very few limits on
but like even like
these
indie games that are coming out look very ambitious and very good because they have a limited budget. Mm-hmm. Like, look at Rocket League. I'm pretty sure they were like, "Hey man, this is all we can do right now."
Dude, yeah, and think about how tight that game is though. That game controls perfectly.
Yeah,
for the most part.
That's probably they put all their time into that.
I know there's like one bug in there that's because of the engine, but otherwise that game is fucking incredible. Like,
exactly,
it plays so well. Like it really does. So I think that's kind of Square's problem is they don't put constraints on themselves, and it just creates like, dude, even with Final Fantasy VII Remake, you think a game, right, that should obviously have constraints on it, the constraints of the game that was made in the past, right? But it doesn't look like there are constraints because it's been 4 years and we've got fucking nothing to show for it, like a trailer, It's
I don't think they're anywhere close to being done with it.
No, not at all. Dude, if you think that game's coming out, like the full breadth of Final Fantasy VII Remake, episodic or not, if you think all of it's going to be out before the end of 2021 or even 2022, you're insane, in my opinion. Like, I think you're crazy. Like, you're fooling yourself because, dude, there's just no way. As I said, they restarted the project 2 years ago. I think they threw out pretty much everything they had with CyberConnect. Like, I don't think they kept very much. So, it's...
Man, I can't. I mean, too bad. Like, we don't have like a game journalist equivalent to Jason Schreier on the Japanese side because I really want to know what happened with that game.
Famitsu gets some scoops sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. But yeah, I want to know what's going on in there, like why this happens to them because it just doesn't make sense, man. I don't get why it should take you 7 years to make Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Obviously we know that they like changed engines midway through development, but dude, that's not an excuse, It's not. That shouldn't have happened in the first place, right? So, I don't know, it just seems like mismanagement, similar to BioWare and some of these other studios. But okay, let's move on to the list of new games. The only thing of note that I'm really seeing this week is two things, I guess. Rage 2, which is probably the biggest game of the month, or one of the biggest games.
Yeah, that game actually looks pretty fun. I might try it.
You gonna get it?
Yeah, I might try it out.
Because I heard it's like a loot shooter, right?
No, it's a single player shooter.
Yeah, but I keep hearing people say it's like a looter shooter.
Really?
Like, not like an online one, like Borderlands, more like Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
That's what I hear, but I guess when you get it, let us know.
All right.
Because I might be curious about it if that's the case. If it's just a pure shooter, I'm less interested.
Hey, man, I'm looking to that Bubsy's Paws of Fire, man.
Yeah, man. Castlevania collection? Come on, man. You want to play some Castlevania?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how my grandma feel about that.
Okay. All right, fair enough. That's pretty much it for new games. There wasn't anything announced, really, that I saw that was noteworthy. So let's move on to topic of the show. So you found an article this week on PC Gamer. The title of it is the quote, "The pressure to constantly update games is pushing the industry to a breaking point." And we both kind of thought that this would be an interesting kind of jumping off point for a discussion. And,
yes.
And Square Enix, what we just talked about with Square Enix, I think is a good example, right? Yep. So why don't you get us started? What do you kind of think about this idea?
Well, honestly, live service games were the inventions of the developers themselves.
Mm-hmm. Publishers.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they kind of put this strain on their backs themselves. Now, I saw we had this discussion actually like last week or a week before last. I don't know if it was off the air or on the air, but we had a discussion about Destiny, right? Yeah. How they could have scoped that down really slow to just being in one planet, Earth, and all the different environments on Earth and how it was affected by the Traveler. Yeah. Instead of doing a globe or a galactic, just a solar system. Yeah. And how interesting that would have been, and how good their scope could have been, and how more focused the team could have been, and the content and everything of that nature. Yep. I feel like the industry themselves shoot themselves in the foot. Now, someone else was saying that's not their fault. This crunch time thing is not their fault. It's our fault for us asking for constant updates to these games. To that, I say I can understand where you're coming from on that side of the spectrum, but
I have an easy solution for them, though.
Finish the games.
Yeah, don't make a live service game, and don't make an incomplete game either.
Yeah, there you go. Like, right? Just don't make an incomplete game.
Sorry, Anthem's unacceptable. That's not my fault. You know, I don't even think. Unfortunately, it's not the developer's fault either. Like, to be frank, it's the leadership's fault. But the developers are the ones that get screwed in this situation. You know, where they have to fix it. And dude, it's so obvious that Anthem is getting slowly killed. Like, dude, they haven't released anything for this game. Like, they've released a Stronghold in 3 months.
What's interesting about that is EA doubled down on it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to double down on Anthem in their press conference to their investors or whatever."
Where's the proof of that?
You're right.
Like,
but I mean, I'm reading an excerpt from this, right, and it says like, as an extreme example, there's Fortnite, which receives weekly patches and Fortnite nightly updates. A recent investigation published by Polygon revealed that consequences of that, employees are working 70 to 100 hours weeks. The biggest problems here that we're patching all the time, one employee said, and if there's something that goes wrong, in one regular update, like weapons breaking, there's no option to take time from fixing that. It has to be fixed immediately, they said. And while all the while, we're still working on next week's patch. It's brutal. So, from an employee standpoint, I understand how bad that can be. There needs to be some type of unionization for that, or some type of clause in their contract that says they get paid some type of overtime. Or what these companies need to start doing, once again, it comes back to the developers though. What these companies need to start doing is hiring more people so that this won't happen.
That's on Epic, right?
Yeah.
They need to hire more staff.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
If they're forcing their people to work 60, 70-hour weeks to get patches out every week, they need to hire more people.
Yes.
Clearly, right? And that's the thing where unions would help, right? Because if unions force these companies to pay overtime, they would just hire more people.
Yeah.
They wouldn't pay overtime.
So, I mean,
because overtime's way more expensive to pay than paying another person. I mean, in a straight dollars to dollar sense, probably not true because you got to pay benefits and all that shit. So,
yeah,
but
I understand it. But let's be honest, right? These companies make millions of dollars.
Well, Epic has more money than they know what to do with.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no excuse.
Yeah, so the way I feel like this title was kind of like almost attacking gamers in a way.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Because
Totally.
said the pressure to constantly update games is pushing the industry to.
The underneath the headline here, it says live service games have trained players to expect a constant stream of new content, and only constant work can deliver it. Well, who made the live service games?
Exactly.
We didn't tell them to make live service games. Like,
plus, live service games is not a new phenomenon. It's called MMOs.
Yeah,
we had
MMOs have been around for fucking ever.
Yeah, in World of Warcraft, I think it has like 3 or 4 teams working on that shit nonstop.
Yeah, dude. Like,
but they, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not working like 50 hours. Maybe they are sometime, but
I don't think they are.
Yeah, but because they probably have a huge team for that game.
Not anymore, but they used to for sure.
Yeah,
when it was first like out. But yeah, I mean, dude, I think back even to the 90s. Like, dude, like StarCraft, like in a sense, that was a live service game.
Yeah,
it got free patches for literally effing years after it came out. Same with Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Diablo 2 also got patches 4 years. Warcraft 3 got patches 4 years. That was Blizzard's kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that, like, dude, companies are capable of doing this if they understand what their scope is and how much they can realistically pull off. Don't set players' expectations to the freaking sun. Like, if you do that, you're setting yourself up for failure in the future, right?
And I was just amazed by the amount of people that were actually like gamers themselves. Like, yeah, maybe we do expect too much. And it's like, are you guys not? I don't want to say like not thinking, but like, think about what you're saying. Like, it's not us. It's not us that gave us Destiny. We didn't go to Bungie and like, yo, make me a galactical scale game where it's live action. It was them telling me, hey, we got this galactical scale game, live action, or a live service game. And it's like, no. What we wanted was like a really good game. All we wanted was a good game.
That's all I want out of any company.
Yeah,
it's a quality video game.
I don't want.
That's like a simple question, like simple expectation, dude.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
And we were just defending like developers. I'm defending developers because last week what we found out about Riot and what we found out about it's disgusting.
Totally, but that's not like,
and it feels like this piece came out after like all that other stuff, right?
It did, yeah.
It
references a lot of that stuff.
You said what?
It references a lot of the stories that have come out the past 6 months.
And it feels like they're not trying to blame the industry. The industry's trying to blame the consumer for expecting this.
Yeah. And I mean, okay. At a certain point, there is blame to be laid on us, right?
Okay.
Our expectations, I think... Setting our expectations, it's a weird give and take because the company sets the expectations.
Yes.
When they reveal a game, right, and they tell us things about the game, that is setting the expectation level. It's giving us a tease, kind of tantalizing us, right?
Yeah.
But then our imaginations run out of control, right?
Yep.
And people start expecting things that are unrealistic from a game that's coming out in 6 months, and then all of a sudden the game comes out, it's not what people thought it was because they thought it was going to have more than they thought it would have. But the thing is, developers have control over those expectations. If they come out and they're honest with us instead of trying to bullshit us and make us buy their game and trick us into buying their game, if they're realistic about how much content they have in their game, like actually realistic instead of doing dev math where they're like, yeah, our game's 20 hours and it's like 5 hours. That's not setting proper expectations. That's on them too.
Yeah.
Like you can't blame your players for expecting the game to have 20 hours of content when you say it has 20 hours of content. That's not the player's fault.
Yeah, they're well informed now. They can make an informed decision.
And Anthem's an example. Like that's not the player's fault. Nobody's expectations should be that low. That Anthem is acceptable. Nobody's expectations should be that low. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit. Like
there are people out there who think this game is still great.
It's unbelievable. It's crazy to me.
I've seen it. I see the tweets all the time.
So
like
ridiculous.
they follow me and I follow them. I'm like, you're serious right now? They're like, yeah, man. I think Anthem's great. I think, and it's hard to have a conversation with those people, but.
And it's fine. They can have that opinion. It doesn't have an effect. Like, yes, you can think Anthem's a great game. I'm sure that's informed by the fact that you probably don't play very many games or you don't play a lot of games that are of a high quality. It's like there's probably reasons why you think Anthem is a great game, but that's irrelevant to the point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think the the idea that we're going to blame gamers for live service games having this constant pressure to churn out content, like think of Fortnite versus Apex, right? They're on complete opposite sides of the spectrum with this. Apex is struggling right now and losing players because they're not putting content out fast enough, because Fortnite has set this expectation in the battle royale scene that you get constant updates every week. You get patches every week. You get new content every single week. So while that's unfair to hold Apex to that standard, Fortnite has created that, and that's where I agree with this article somewhat, that as our expectations as gamers, I don't think it's fair of us to put on Apex Legends, made by a completely different company with a completely different amount of money and budget and size and number of employees. We shouldn't put the expectation of what Fortnite is doing on them, you know? But at the same time, there's another side to that coin, right?
Yes.
They still have to satiate their player base. That's still on them. If they're releasing content, yeah, maybe you don't do it every week, maybe you do it every month, which they're not even doing that though.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, they can do like a monthly thing or something like that.
Yeah. So I think that's my problem with this article, is like, it's not all on one side of the equation, right? We're all culpable in this environment. We're all part of it, right? We all contribute to it, you know?
I feel like both teams, the only solution to stop that crunch time is either one, unionize, or two, hire more people, hire bigger staff. You gotta stop being selfish with the money. Like, you gotta hire bigger staff. If you're gonna create these live service games, battle royale, Destiny games, Division, whatever, you have to hire the staff to maintain these games, and not only mean an extra person or two. Maybe an extra 20 or 30 people who can relieve these other people so they can stop doing these 70-hour shifts.
Dude, right. I know anybody listening to this is so tired of me talking about Grim Dawn, but Grim Dawn is a good example of a company. This is an indie developer, completely independent, fully self-funded. They have no relation to any publisher whatsoever. They never have, ever since their inception. And their Grim Dawn was a Kickstarter made with Kickstarter money, but then they released it in early access and continue to get revenue that way. And they've released this game, and they have had patches for it ever since the release of this game, and then the subsequent expansions that have happened, and they're still happening now. They've had patches for this game at least once a month for 3 years, you know? And those patches don't make them money. They don't make any money off those patches. They're literally balance patches. They're just patches that add new content, add new items, add new areas. They balance items, they balance abilities. Like, it's time that these developers are taking that they could be using to make another game that actually will make them money, or make DLC that will make them money. They're using it to make their game better. And this is a studio that's like, it's been like 10 people at most for a while, and I think now they're kind of probably closer to 15 to 20 at this point, but they have multiple games in the works.
Yeah.
Explain to me, somebody explain to me how this company can pull off doing content patches every month, but then companies that are 20 times the size can't handle it every 3 months. Like, what?
Well, they probably have a scope. They
have a scope, and I bet they have a plan, and they have a way of doing their work that's efficient, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue, is I think a lot of these companies aren't focused on being efficient. Like,
you're right.
They're like, how do you evaluate how efficient your team is, you know?
I mean, you need a manager. You need you need levels. You need tiers. Unfortunately, we don't want to go. And a lot of people want to go. Like, if you worked in a game environment,
you don't want to go that corporate.
Yeah, you want to be freeforming, right? Because it is an art environment. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, bro, I'm sorry. We got to have like a manager manages teams. Like, you got games. Even though we just talked about how disgusting they are, but like, Riot Games, right? They release a patch like maybe they release maybe 2 patches a month, or maybe 1 patch a month. They're like, hey, we're going to do 1 big patch this month, and this is it. We've been listening to you guys. But they take time to listen to the players' feedback. Then they release a patch, responding to that feedback and what they receive. Probably same thing with Dota. I'm pretty sure they listen to...
Dota's weird. Dota's interesting. I don't know how it is now because I haven't been paying attention, but Dota would like... They would just go radio silent for like 3 or 4 months, and then they just drop this bomb of a giant patch that completely changes the way the game is played. Like, they do that like 2 or 3 times a year. Like, they're weird. They were totally weird. But you know what? That was fine, though. The community was fine with it. Like, it doesn't, like... That's kind of the thing with certain games. like for me, I don't want the game updated every week. That's way too much.
Yeah, it is.
I don't play the games that much to keep up with that. That's like insane. Like Fortnite, what Fortnite's doing, like. I mean, I'm sure that's fine for like their audience is young kids, right? That have
so they gotta keep that.
They have to keep them occupied,
yeah.
right? So I think they understand that. I think they're not trying to appeal to me because I don't have time to keep up with a game that's releasing patches every freaking week.
Like even when Dota, even when League releases like its monthly patches, I'm like, damn, what the fuck changed this month?
I get kind of annoyed almost. Yeah. It's like I have to like relearn the game. It's like, oh god damn it, they changed the meta again. It's like, you know, and then I think about like MMOs, right? I always had this anxiety when I played World of Warcraft that I was running out of time to actually experience the current content because of the next patch that's coming, and it's like if they like some people are like super excited when MMOs release new content every month, and I'm like, no, I don't want that.
I think 2 or 3 times a year is like doable.
Exactly. Like so when people are talking about WoW Classic and how fast we're gonna get the tiers of rating, I'm like, dude, give me like 3-4 months with every patch. Like I don't need.
Me and Andy were talking about that,
dude, and it's like I can't keep up otherwise.
Yeah,
it's like,
and me and him were talking about that, and we were like, we didn't experience vanilla. Me and him both came in at Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be, we're not gonna be ready for. Like, we have to do a learning curve. We have to learn vanilla. So we're going into the fresh, whereas people are going to be like, man, I already remember how to do this.
Well, the problem with it, too, is that World of Warcraft is a very time-consuming game.
Exactly.
To actually get things
and
done
we
in
have
that
lives.
Game. And yeah, we have lives now. So it's like, dude, I can't get through everything that I need to get through in a month. Like, it's impossible for me now. There's no way. And that's the thing is, like, it depends on the game. Like, World of Warcraft Classic, I think they need to cater it towards probably people like us, because I don't think they're going to get a lot of people that have like tons of free time. You know, that's just not the audience of the game.
I think that's why they're doing the beta to see if they can. Because I don't want us to be fast leveled, but they should have it in a sense where I can still enjoy the content at a reasonable pace. Yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because dude, that's my concern. Because World of Warcraft Vanilla took to get from 1 to 60, being efficient for me took about 12 to 14 days of playtime. And back when I was in high school, that was about a month of real life time. Yeah. That's how much time I had to play. Now, dude, I mean, that's 14 days is 288. That's oh boy,
bro, just be lucky. We'd be lucky to get 2 hours a day.
Yeah, it's like it's like 340 something hours.
Yeah,
that's insane. There's no way I'm gonna be able to do that in a month. Like that's gonna take me like 2 or 3 months.
You would have to abandon your wife.
Exactly. I wouldn't have a wife when I was done.
Yeah,
you know, like it's so that's the interesting thing. It depends on the game, right? It's like so to me, it's like as I've gotten older, my expectations for these games is like, dude, I don't want you to upgrade your game that much. It's fun when the games get updated and when they get updated with new content, but dude, I don't like Anthem's a different case. Like using that game as an example of something where people are like destroying the developer. Like, dude, no, that game has no content. They need to get more content in that game. Like that's different.
That's a disingenuous argument.
Yeah, when you're talking about something like Destiny, I can understand a little bit more because that game is a little bit more complete, right?
But granted, when it first came out, it was lacking content.
That's true. It was. It actually really was. Yeah, and so I don't know. I get what they're coming from, but I think this constant narrative that kind of I feel like we have gotten beaten over the head with over the past 6 months to a year of that the developers of these games are like victims in this whole situation, and that gamers and corporate culture are killing these people and like ruining them. Like, I understand, I get it, and things do need to change, but
it's the corporate management themselves are who are trying to use that victimhood as a crutch or as a thing to combat what's going to happen. I think it's inevitably going to happen. But so they're trying to like, oh, it's not us, management, developers. Look, developers, it's actually your customers that are demanding this.
Toxic.
Yeah, they're toxic, and the developers are probably in this state where they're like, man, maybe it is our customers. But they got to think, we're telling the developers like, hey, look, man, it's not us. It's your management, and they're like, man, maybe it is the management. So I feel like they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place because they don't know who to go after, you know?
Well, also, there's a there's always the bad eggs too, right? The people who get the people who get so upset when a game gets delayed that they threaten the developers with death threats and stuff like that. It's like, dude, like those people I think are the ones like they make us all look bad.
Yeah, unfortunately,
like, you're way too up a game's ass if you're sending people death threats because they delayed your game. They're gonna make your game better.
I'm one to talk, but you need to get a fucking life.
Like, 100%, dude. Like, oh my god, no, I don't even know how you rectify that. So, I don't know. This whole thing is like this article is interesting, but I think it's painting the situation in a like disingenuous light.
Yeah,
you know, it's not. Yes, we have expectations. Yes. But those expectations are formed by what the industry has done over the past few years.
And like you said, it's also a case-by-case basis.
100%.
Like, Fortnite, in my opinion, has the revenue and the manpower to do weekly patches or monthly patches or every 2-week patch or bi-weekly patches if they just hire the people, because they're making so much money now that they don't know what should we make another Steam type event on a console or not? Like, they don't know what to do with all the money they're making. Whereas a game like Apex Legends, their team may not be as big, so they can't do a weekly patch or a monthly patch.
And they don't want to crunch.
Yeah.
They've said that publicly too. They're like, we're not making our team crunch.
Yeah. So I can respect that.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
I mean, you have to deal with the ramifications behind that.
100%.
But I respect it,
Which ramifications for them, they're losing players. But you know what? If that works for them, that's fine, dude.
The next patch that comes out, it may release a ton of content, and they get a whole bunch of money back.
Maybe a giant patch, too. It could be like that Dota patch. Right?
Yeah.
Like, where it's a huge, giant
and
patch
maybe
that changes the game.
Maybe that's the route they should go. Every, 2 or 3 months, release a patch. But Fortnite, like I said, to compare, and that's the thing this article doesn't do. It doesn't compare, like you said, case-by-case basis. Fortnite to PUBG to Apex, they're a totally different team.
Well, it's pointing out the most egregious examples of crunch, right? Which is easy to do. I mean, there's plenty of them. They're everywhere. They're like a dime a dozen at this point.
There's no reason why Rockstar had to crunch each employee 100 hours to get their shit done.
Dude, that studio is like 1,100 people.
There's no reason.
That's insane. They're one of the biggest studios on the planet. That's an insane number of developers. 1,100? I think it's even more than that. I don't even,
and each game comes out, does numbers. And
it's like 6 years between these games.
Yeah, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is still selling.
Yeah. So, dude, I don't understand the idea of them crunching. Why do they need to crunch? Like, what are you crunching for? Like people are going to buy your game. Just, delay it a year. You know? It's it's fine. Nobody's going to be that upset about it. So I don't know. It's like I think
idea of crunch needs to go away.
I think the problem is the realities of business. Just they push some of these companies to do things that are gross.
Yeah,
is like trying to get things within a certain fiscal year, or trying to get things out within a certain amount of time. With only having used so much money to fund the development of a game, right?
Yeah.
Being strict about the budget and things like that. Like that, I think is dangerous. Where, obviously it's ironic because we were just talking about a company in Square Enix where we feel like they don't have a budget, for some of their games. But it's like, it's interesting to see the differences in the industry and different parts of the industry.
Yeah, and that's a good conversation too. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people talk about that, how much time is too much time.
I don't think a game should take longer than 5 years to make. I don't think any game should take longer than 5 years to make. If it does, you've done something wrong.
Yes.
I feel like you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
I think 5 years is too long. I think 3 to 5 years should be your average window of making a video game. Anything more than that, and you've gone off the rails in some form or fashion.
And I feel like that's realistic. That's like a realistic take.
Think about God of War, right? That game took them 5 years to make. 5 years for that game. It's a big game.
Oh, yeah.
It's a much bigger game than I was ever expecting. And it took 5 years. Sounds about right. For everything that was in that game, the quality of everything, the meticulousness of the cutscenes, and the voice acting performances, and the art and everything, and the environments. Sounds about right to me, And then you look at Anthem, and that's 7 years.
And nothing came from it.
Nothing came from it. So it's how you use the time you're given.
Yeah.
It's like, how efficient are you? How well do you work together as a unit, as a team, Like, how well do you bounce off each other? Like, are you inhibiting each other from working? Or are things not coalescing correctly, where one team's work is making it so that, like, one team not being finished is making it so that another team can't work? Because that happens in video game development.
And also, I think what these developers need to do is their hiring process. I understand a lot of, from what I understand, they just go by pure talent. Like, they go by, like, man, this looks really good, we're going to hire you.
Like, pure quality of the work you've done.
Yeah, and which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because you need to know how people mesh.
But this is like I feel like that's like sports, right? How many times have you seen teams get the most talented guy and he busts because he doesn't mesh with the team?
That's what I'm saying.
Or he doesn't pick up the nuances. He's really talented. He's super freak athlete, but he just doesn't get how to play the sport at the level that everybody else is playing it at.
Exactly.
Like, I think it's a similar situation. It's like, yes, you want the most talented people you can find, but you also want people that fit.
Yeah.
Do they fit your working style, the work environment that your company has?
Or can they adjust?
Yeah. Are they can they adjust to the lifestyle, the place that they're going to be living?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously, video game dev, like if you're jumping between companies, you're having to move around the country a lot.
Yeah.
Right? It's like these companies aren't all centered in one location. So, I don't know. It's like it's another interesting point about it, too, is like you hiring just purely based off talent seems like folly to me.
Yeah, see, so many layers that a lot of people aren't, like, this article isn't, like, factoring in. You can't just say it's live service games, crunch time, and it's the player's expectation. You have to take into account, management style, their environment, what kind of scope they have, and things of that nature. And a lot of people don't do that. They don't think all sides of the spectrum like that. I can admit that gamers can be toxic. If you want a
100%.
if you want a weekly update for something, get a life. I mean, unless you're 12 and you don't understand how the world works, then get a life, man. I don't know what to tell you. But if I'm like 30 and I'm expecting like maybe 2 patches a year, that's realistic. And the companies need to adjust for that. Like, if they come out with WoW, they need to know. That's another thing I think they don't do. Game companies don't do. They don't really know their player base, their scope of players.
That's why Epic's so effective, because they do know their player base.
Exactly.
Right? And that's why they're so successful, because they know and they're catering their content to that audience.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if WoW comes out, they need to have it played for. They need to make it for people who are 25 to 35
That's
years old.
That's the window of people you're talking about.
Yeah, because
our age. I don't think anybody under 20.
No one who's playing Fortnite now, unless like a streamer or something like that, played fucking vanilla WoW or even Burning Crusade. It doesn't matter. Yep. So people just need to learn. So
I agree. Yeah, fair enough. I think that's a good enough talk on that discussion.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the end of the episode this week, guys. So if you enjoyed the episode, please like the episode wherever you're listening to it. Review the episode and then subscribe to the show, whatever feed you're using. And then we would really appreciate it if you shared it with your friends. We are still looking to grow the audience 100%. If you want to talk to us on Twitter, Montrell is at iTrap4 the Hokage. That is the number 4, not the word. I am at ThunderNut01. And the podcast is at The Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, those can be sent to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And next week, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. And that is glorious.
The sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. So, we hope you enjoyed this episode, guys, and we will see you on the next one. All right? Bye, guys.